I guess the other option you pick the offlaner, and then the Tiny can still be carry or support. But
Yeah.
okay, and maybe that's what they're doing. But I guess Pangolier, it's another flex hero. We've seen it. You know, most teams are playing it offlane. I say love their offlane Pango, but there's a few teams here and there playing it in the carry role, and maybe even fewer. Oh, sorry, the mid role, and then even fewer that occasionally bringing back the 4th position Pango. I believe DJ for Fnatic was still playing some 4th position Pango.
Yeah, I remember last patch Motivate Trust were like so good on the Pango. I just loved that and putting it in random roles.
You talked to, well, you mentioned a lot of things that Lilgun have going for them in just their first 2 picks. Obviously now they've got that Sand King, but is there something that they are missing, something that you want to see them pick up when it comes to the team composition?
I was going to say stuns, but
Yeah.
Well, then they got that with Sand King.
Sand King's great.
Stuns, and I mean, they got plenty of damage with TA Death Row, like Cheapo mentioned, and take so many towers objectives easily with these. I think you just have to, you know, you want to be able to death ball, and I think you need some beefy heroes in the front lines or heroes to stun, like Sand King kind of fits that pretty well.
And Lilgun are a couple team. Sadly. Sadly for TNC. I mean, this is a really nice lane if they decide to put Keeper with Sand King. I don't know, they might put it carry instead. You said they play TA mid, right?
Yeah.
So there's still a potential they just take some carry that synergizes really well with Coddle. Ember's still in the... Oh no, Ember's banned. Sad. He was like the big one I always think of when I see Keeper. Like SMG showed that you can just put Ember offlane with a Coddle and it's going to be absolutely busted. So, yeah. I think these heroes are really nice. They're not exactly like the standard idea I was kind of pushing for earlier with DPTA, but Sand King still is going to allow you to basically play a low cooldown aggressive style. You don't really need epicenter to make plays on the map. You just need your blink and your stun, and that's going to allow, you know, say you blink stun someone, TA is going to be able to follow up with her Deso blink, and you can just burst pretty much anyone.
The Darkseid, we haven't even talked about it or mentioned it, but that getting picked up for TNC at the end of the second phase of picks. You guys look, well, at least gods, you look a little bit intrigued, I'll say.
I don't think there's any like obvious here that the illusion is really good against, and no like great target to put your Iron Shell on.
What do you mean? No great target? They have a Pango and a Tiny. I'd be like,
you say great? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'm overhyping it.
No, hype it up.
I feel
hype
like
it
if I mean, if they're comfortable and good on Tiny, and they like playing it as a 4, then Darkseer and Tiny are pretty good at kind of bursting and killing people in lane, especially like Keeper of the Light, a hero that's really good at kind of staying away with the high move speed. If you're able to surge your Tiny in, and he can like get on top of him, toss him back in or something, you should be able to kill him pretty well.
I just feel like when we've seen these Darkseer plus melee, like we saw Darkseer and Nyx the other day, like I can't remember when, their lane is just very weak at those early levels because they just get harassed so much. Like if it's whether it's Cuddle or probably Death Prophet 5, I guess, plus like a ranged carry, like maybe they, whether it's TA safe lane or something else, like I feel like these heroes just win the harass trade. Until Darkseer Tiny gets levels, the lane just doesn't feel that hard.
Ooh, yeah, I do agree with you. Darkseer lanes can go either way. But even then, I'm pretty happy if I have a Pango core. Because this is Darkseer offlane, right? Which means Pango's not offlane. Either this is Tiny carry, or it's Pango
4 position?
4 mid or something. And either way, I'm kind of like... I'm pretty happy putting an Ion Shell on Pango or Tiny in the mid game.
Yeah. I wonder if there's any world they do Darkseer mid. I know some mid players have been experimenting with Darkseer mid. Like, you know, against the TA, you got that damage to burn through, refraction.
Probably not.
Probably not. Yeah, I would say probably not, but
I kind of like Darkseer against Anti-Mage. I mean, the lane's like, it's a little sad, but at the same time, it's not that bad. At least from my experience, I'm not. Typically, you always feel bad because Anti-Mage gets like magic resistance, and then your magic doesn't really do too much. But
who's going mid? It's Pango or Pango Tiny Darkseer. It's somebody.
Okay, it's offlane Darkseer, which should mean it's... I would like to see 4 Tiny.
Well, while we're waiting for those to be picked, we are going to be bringing in our casters, and this time it's Aries and Danog. How are you guys going?
Wait, what?
The boys are back.
Wait, dude, you got shades on. What the hell? You didn't tell me.
No, well, I'm just doing my best to cosplay John, you know. I couldn't leave an analyst desk without having the shades on, so, you know, the talent power might be enough to be able to get me through this game. What do you guys think on the panel about this draft? Because I was a little confused about the anti-mage. We're against 3 different heroes that don't really get countered by the counterspell, right? Tiny, Avalanche, you've got, I mean, even the Grimstroke, Panga with the Rolling Thunder, the Vacuum. So this isn't the freest anti-mage game of all time, that's for sure.
Feels like they lack the damage maybe to kill him between those heroes, but
Yeah. It seems like almost this old school intel, like Febby's like the draft or captain team, where he's like, oh, they picked Darkseer. What's the Darkseer kind? It's anti-mage. But I don't think it's like kind of Sheepo said. It's like that's more something from like 5 years ago rather than maybe today as much.
the Darkseer
See in
Warlow
the
is
background
nice
as well,
against
by
him.
the way, behind you on the screen.
Yeah.
Behind your counter on the screen.
They,
You're a bit
they're
outnumbered,
always,
Sheepo.
whenever it's us against her. Hey, now we have more Australians, so
Yeah.
Oh god, they're everywhere.
we're everywhere.
multiplying.
I
Yeah.
don't want to be you anymore.
Well, my question is this series going to be going to 2 games or 3 games? Quickly, just a number.
3 games.
3 games, yeah.
Yeah.
3.
And I will. Oh, there you go. You guys are already saying if I will let you guys jump into game number 1 of Lilgun up against TNC.
Yeah, thank you. Nat. Yeah, Danog, I'm still a little bit cut. You didn't tell me about the glasses memo. Like, I know we're doing a little bit cosplay with John, but I will also kind of be on the side of 3 games. I think both these teams very even. We've seen Lilgun so far that they've struggled. You know, they're 0-2. TNC had a really, really good showing versus UDV, but not an opponent that can really take them to the edge. I think they need to prove themselves, and I think Lilgun is quite the team to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we were talking about on the panel about 2 weeks ago, these two teams came up against each other. Lilgun took those games in 28 and 29 minutes. The thing is as well is that across both games, they picked 4 out of the 5 save heroes, and I believe none of them are in this game. So TNC have clearly looked to change around their strategy a little bit and not suffer the same sort of fate. Actually, no, the TA's there, but that was the only hero that varied between the two. So I'm in 2 minds, right? Because I feel like these drafts are both pretty even. I'm worried about the anti-mage's impact.
Hang on.
Yo,
What
hey, what are you
doing?
doing?
He's
This is
stepping up a little
mid-tiny,
bit too
by the way.
far over the river, and that's a big kill to pick up. Kishka finds first blood, and Lilgun strike first in our game 1.
Damn. Certainly wasn't expecting that. I can probably take my shades off now as well so I can see the screen a bit better. But yeah, I'm a little worried about this anti-mage just for what it's able to provide. I know when the panel didn't quite come to us, you and I were talking about, okay, well, maybe you can go this aggressive build, the Vanguard, the Diffusal, because you've got the TA to be able to carry you into that late game. But my concern is, like, what does that really offer you this game, right? Like, Tiny doesn't really care about his mana. The laning stage is going to be decent against the Darkseer, that's for sure. But I just don't see it as, like, this thing that's going to, you know, kind of like we've seen in previous series against a Medusa, for example. Anti-Mage just goes and basically solos her and keeps her away.
Yeah, I think we were both, like, it's just a question of the aim build. I think that's the one thing I'm looking at. Is he going to go Battle Fury? Is it going to be the Vanguard Diffusal? You know, we have been doing our predictions as well. I know last 2 we were both even, but for anyone that's not aware, Danog and I, that we're both trying to come out on top with predictions, and the person that guesses the most correct games, then they get a free dinner, you know, free, what we said, 4 cases of mate, and a good old drink as well.
And
so
some ice cream.
And some cream. I'm currently down. It's not looking too good. We said I'm 1-5, so I am
You were
going
on
to
point with your draft predictions yesterday, though, so maybe that's a good sign. You know, there's always time to come back. We're only in week 2 of the DPC, so anything can happen. With that being said, who do you think is going to win this game? We're only a minute or so into it. Yes, there was the first blood, but it went on to a coddle, so it's not going to have the biggest impact.
I reckon I'm giving a bit of an edge to TNC. I'm just super worried about what this anti-mage and Templar Assassin lineup how they can combine together. That's my big concern. I think Lilgun have really good ways to be able to ramp the pressure up early still, and you know, with their roach taking potential especially, that's the main thing. But I think for TNC, they've got overwhelming amounts of team fight, and I was really, really impressed as well with how they were able to just execute versus that UDV your previous series. So I just feel like with their heroes, they should have a big advantage in that regard.
Yeah, I would say that UDV as well as TNC, they're both like top 4, top 5 teams within this division too. I don't think there's any danger of either of those dropping down. And Lilgun, I would honestly put them in the same sort of bracket there. I mean, they are 0-2, right? But it's against the undefeated RSG and Talon. So I think you can only take that sort of information so far.
That's scary though, because your TNC and Talon were both the teams that people were probably putting in the promotional slots. Of course, Lilgun were there as well, but the fact that Lilgun, they're facing two of your really tougher opponents, and if you start the season 0-3, if you start the tour 0-3, your run's over. To be promoted, it's just gone. Right now, they have to win the next 5 series, and that's a lot of pressure on these lads.
Yeah, for sure. In terms of who I want to pick, there's things about both drafts that I don't like, so I'm just seeing which thing outweighs the most. I don't like the tiny mid. I don't think it's anywhere near as strong as if you're giving all of that farm, and you're going to need to be making plays throughout the map. I'm just not sure how effective it's going to be of killing anyone outside of like Ace 12 maybe, and then even then it's just a position 5, right? So it doesn't really matter. And then for Lilgun, again, this anti-mage, I don't think it's going to be that impactful this game, just because you've got the ways to be able to counter it out. So I'll give it to Lilgun just to be a bit different.
All right, well, okay, all right. Well, we were speaking about behind the scene. If I get all the predictions right tonight, then you're going to be in shambles. Going to gap close there. Carlo taking a lot of damage down bottom. TNC playing behind the T1 tower. They want to stand their ground and beat onto Ace 12, but that's where 4-2-3 comes into play. He's got the second point in the mana burn, so an easy way to be able to get rid of the Painfully life, and Bok force a TP back to the T1 tower.
Still pretty healthy here on the Lilgun side as well, right? Able to pick up that kill, most notably onto 4-2-3 as well. And they're just consistently feeding him through all of those tangos, making sure that he's going to hit that timing very nicely. What have they got coming out now in the career? So the Ring of Health actually went to the Radiant Secret Shop, making sure it wasn't going to get sniped, so he's going to be just fine for this lane. It's a great way to be able to lessen the impact of going up as a melee hero against that Darkseer.
One thing when I was looking back at Lilgun's previous games, I was a bit concerned on how they weren't enabling Sanctity. I think him and Kishka are always the players that I'm looking at for Lilgun. If they're having a good game, it feels like Lilgun are on the path to success. So that's kind of how... Dude, Carlo's going to get a second choreo, my lord. That's just...
First one's understandable. Second one, they probably should have remicroed that. It makes it really obvious that they've got this Observer Ward here to the south side of the Radiant Outpost. But, you know, he was paying attention to Bok, making sure to reduce the amount of farm that he's able to get in the lane. And, I mean, if you just have a look over at the net worth, it's already coming into the equation, right? Over a 600 net worth advantage for the Anti-Mage right now.
Which is... It's expected, though. Anti-Mage versus the Darkseer, you purely pick it because of this matchup. As we see some of the other lanes, though, top, we haven't put too much emphasis there. It's looking, pretty even, 22-3 compared to the 25-3. Are you scared, though, that maybe TB could get bursted down from, like, just a burrow into a perfectly timed Illuminate? Well, actually, bottom lane, 4-2-3.
Super early.
Just gets the blink away. Carlo looking to continue to man-fight Ace. Once again, it's going to be just a lane where all the resources are expended, but no casualties.
And that's the best thing about a Death Prophet, right? Sure, you've got the strength of having that increased tower pushing power, of course, ever since the new patch, but you're very sustainable in the lane as this position 5. As soon as Ace hit onto that position, that level 3, he was just like, all right, I'm going to move on forward, make sure that I can take away a lot of TNC's resources and just free up the game a lot more for 4-2-3.
Oh,
If he
Febby.
wanted to, he could finish the
Oh, no, Febby, that's not a river you want to enter. Kishka on the high ground, Sanctity on the low ground, but we're able to pincer him in. And with that high ground ward as well, that Radiant are playing with, they secure their 3rd kill and also a bounty for themselves as well. A very early net worth lead for Lilgun. Signs of life here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, any time that you see, give me a Sanctity TA, give me a Sanctity Ember Spirit, OD, Morphling, Timbersaw, he's good and really good at a big range of heroes. So I feel like, especially in the laning
Box in
stage,
trouble
he's come out on
bottom.
top.
They're going to have the Grimstroke TPing down. Once again, they're just going to try and stand their ground, get as much damage out as possible. Carlo, nice swashbuckle just at the last second. Gets the Inkspell connection, but with the Vanguard being delivered, 4-2-3 is standing his ground, soaking up the damage, but that's where the Stroke of Fate comes into play. Now Febby has another level to play with as well, as they can push back Ace 12 under the tier 1 tower, but there's no more room that the DP can find as TNC, they get a 2-for-1 trade.
Nice rotation there from Febby, making sure he's even going to deny himself underneath the tower. He's used all of his resources. His job is done. And, well, even when he respawns, though, he's going to need to walk back out to the lane.
Top
So I wonder if
lane,
they're going to
11.
recognize this on the
Hang
top
on,
side. Yeah.
solo epi on Young God, but he too has a point in his ultimate early, and Yolway TP's in, swipes away the kill instantly. Febby tipping Young God.
And if you ever want an explanation as to why it's important to save that key point, you know, we see it with the Wraith Kings, with the ultimate. You don't want to skill it if you don't need to. Same sort of deal there with the Sunder. A lot of the times, TB goes away from it, just wanting to prioritize a little bit more of his farm. But, you know, being dived underneath the tower with an epicenter, it was the right move, but it was also the right move by Young God to be a little conservative there and ends up netting himself a kill.
For Lilgun, they still haven't made as many stacks as what I would hope, especially with a Keeper Alive. This is a hero that you can just ramp up those stacks for your farming carries, in particular Sanctity. I think the first one now is going to be over at the Ancient. So we'll see how they can continue to amplify the Templar Assassin's farm.
I mean, I suppose, but also Lilgun are a team where, top side again, they're looking to go in, but no epicenter, no Sunder as well, but they come up at the exact same time, so the Lilgun are going to be cautious of that. Lilgun are a team where they actually kind of like Secret a little bit, right? They like giving the farm over to their position 4. They feel like it makes it work for them. They are able to just get so much effectiveness out of Kishka having a lot of this farm, and it's all on the back of snowballing, right? He's going into the drums super early on, so Keeper of the Light already incredibly fast, but... Oh,
they're going to catch him out. That they will. Look at this. That was a really cool movement from TNC. They got to finish their kill. Febby actually wanting the Cory instead of the life for Kishka, but now he can chuck out a spell from afar. Meanwhile, by the triangle, Bok is going to be cautious. 4-2-3. Lacking the mana, though, for the ultimate. It will come up in a couple of seconds if they want to continue the dive, but this is enabling the rotations as Yolway might toss him underneath the T2 tower with the extra right clicks. Oh, diving that deep at 9 minutes in. The price to pay for the anti-mage.
Yeah, that is a tier 2 tower dealing 172 damage per hit. I don't think you could afford to do that. They even ended up popping the glyph there on the Dire side as well without any towers being hit, so wanting perhaps the multi-shot to be coming through. Wasn't even needed at the end, but yeah, just a couple of overextensions coming through from Lilgun so far. Obviously wanting to up the tempo, and well, they're looking to continue to do so. Smoke will be broken by Kishka, so at least it's going to be him that falls down.
Yeah, they are starting to TP towards the area. Anti-mage moving to Sanctity's location. Yolway pretty speedy though, phase boots along with the Windlace. They'd love to have Carlo's level 6, but unfortunately without the Rolling Thunder, TNC can't play around the mouth of the pit. So Carlo's going to be soloed down by Sanctity in 4-2-3. Now he didn't use that Mana Void price, so still has it for the tiny kill, but of course a hero without the greatest mana. Yolway will be able to escape, but it is a couple of heroes littering the ground on TNC.
11 only had the 1 point in the Burrow Strike and hasn't gone into the Blink Dagger just yet. So he's actually got a Vanguard himself, just wanting to be very tanky against a lot of these early rotations. It feels to me that they've just... I love these kinds of drafts, right, where you're very hard to kill. Keeper of the Light, probably the squishiest of all of them, but that's if you could catch him. And, you know, even a Rolling Thunder
they're going to go in.
Time doing it.
Yeah, Carlo, he just picked up the tome, so now with the TP straight away slamming down onto the Templar Assassin. Carlo's even going up for more as well. He'll bounce back, get a secondary stun. Box even made his way towards the lane. Needs to find connection with the back. The Soulbind has a beautiful way to set up as Dire linked together, and they'll both die together in between the towers as TNC flexing their muscles on how these teamfight ultimates can fare in this game 1.
Standing up, dying again to the tier 2 tower is Febby. And used every single one of his resources. His movement has been really good this game. You know, he influenced that bottom lane, being able to get the kill underneath the tower, ends up suiciding himself, makes multiple rotations to refill bottles, gets key soulbinds off, even when they were chasing the Terrorblade inside the Dire jungle. Just a simple stroke of fate to be able to slow down the Sand King and make sure they couldn't get that follow-up after 4-2-3's Mana Void. It's been really good from Febby so far, so kudos to him if they're able to get out of this early game unscathed. The main concern for me is, though, TA's still farming pretty damn effectively. You made that rotation through to the Radiant Triangle to try and kill Sanctity, to try and take away some of those stacks, because as a Tiny, you're probably one of the few heroes that can do that, but they only ended up catching the Keeper of the Light. Sure, they got the kill, but Sanctity still able to continue farming.
We do have this Death Prophet Exorcism available phase 12. Where do you feel like Lilgun are going to try and put their attention with the first ultimate? as well. There we go.
Now,
Questions
apparently.
answered in the river. Yowei trying to man-fight the Death Prophet with 3 points in the Siphon is super scary. But it heads out TP. Yowei will make it.
I'll spot that he's used the Metamorphosis as well, so only about half duration left on it. It looks like they want to continue pushing into this mid lane, and kind of understandable, right? Your main playmaker is the Tiny
Carlo.
right now, although
Got the
Carlo,
Rolling
good positioning.
Thunder. Doesn't get the stun connection on Ace 12. Box even got a TP into the lane as well. They do have the wall if they need it for this further team fight to break out, but with 11 showing up, there's the combo. They drag back the Templar Assassin, but the damage follow-up, it's slightly lacking from TNC. So they're going to tuck their tails behind themselves and continue to run deeper to their territory. But a success for Lilgun, a 1-for-1, but the important thing is they find that tower. Now it can open up the map and set up for this Roshan soon to come.
Absolutely, and honestly, even the DP dying at that stage, his exorcism had run out, so he got the full effectiveness that he was wanting out of that. The next big timing, like you mentioned, is going to be that Roshan, but also the Blink Dagger. There's been multiple fights now where 11 has just been slightly shy of being able to get like a great Blink epicenter off onto multiple people, so see when that timing's starting to come. But before that, TNC, of course, this is what you need to do as a mid-tiny. Went the early Blink Dagger. Although they see that this smoke is happening, look at that observer ward to the right, to the left of the tier 2 tower. Sees the courier chasing up. They know someone's coming to deliver something, and so got out of dodge just in time on 4-2-3. Nicely done.
Now Lilgun, they're instantly moving bottom. Carlo's position here at the moment. Smoke is going to expire shortly. In fact, they want to try and invade the triangle. Kishka's got a couple wards that he can place down deep. And I like this because, I mean, Lilgun, they are soon to hit their timings and looking to fight. Actually, I was expecting the Blink to come out shortly for Sand King, but he's completed the Spirit Vessel here. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's good against the Tiny, of course, and that's the real thing, right? As long as you're taking out the Tiny, a lot of that key playmaking potential is gone. And, you know, by going this build, unless you're getting chain kill after kill after kill, you are going to fall behind on this mid-Tiny a little bit.
We've avoided the Terrorblade for quite some time this game, considering Young Gordy hasn't really been getting involved in too many of the engagements, but do you feel like this is a game that Lilgun have to be concerned if the TB is just freely farming?
A little bit, right? But, I mean, you're a TA, so as long as the team fights are a little bit more scattered, the Psyblade still ends up doing that pure damage against a TB, can be very effective. And you've also got a ton of magic damage, right? With the Keeper of the Light, with the Sand King as well, with that Epicenter.
Top tower is under attack.
Second EXO of the game, down bottom. Ace and Carlo. So Ace and 4-2-3 and Synergy. Carlo just waiting to see if he gets some extra heroes to show up. They'd love to defend the tower, and Carlo, with the help of Bok, is going to do just that. Poor little Ace, oh, cute little pave with a pogo stick as well. So TNC, they bring 4 heroes though. Now, what are Lilgun getting out of this? They're pretty clumped up around mid. 11 and Kishka on the high gun. They're going to run straight to Yowei. Hasn't been able to charge up the epicenter now, but the Phantom's Embrace preventing this. Yowei down to half health. So, but oh, okay, Bok. Beautiful vacuum on the top of the stairs. There's just nothing Lilgun can do. Taking mass amount of damage. Yowei still got to be cautious here. Just gets a surge. Blink away. Small distance. But Yowei somehow, some way doesn't die. And he gets rewarded with the tips and some kills as well.
And lots of tips being given over, but I think Bok is the real MVP of that, right? Great wall, great use of the vacuum to be able to disrupt all of that, even using the surge at the very end. Otherwise, Tiny was dead to the Illuminate coming through, so Bok's the real hero of that fight for mine.
It's scary because Bok's had a very good game with the minimal amount of net worth that he's had. You know, Vanguard so far, not even the Blink Dagger, but we've seen multiple times that his vacuum into wall has been catastrophic for these fights on Lilgun.
So I think it's very important. They can do, in my eyes, one of two things here on Lilgun. They can just double down. They say, okay, they don't have the Metamorphosis. They don't have the Wall of Replica. Let's use that time where they know they won't be invading us to get a little bit more farm. 11 is still very close to being able to pick up that Blink Dagger, only about 400 or so gold away. Or you could just look to, well, I was about to say taking down that bottom tier 1 tower and then looking to invade into the triangle. But they realized with that movement coming through from Lilgun previously that they had a high ground ward, and so Carlo, wisely enough, is able to get that D ward off. So it closes up their options a little bit, at least in terms of being able to get an easier kill onto the Terrorblade, or perhaps farm a little bit more aggressively on the TA. But
look at
you're
this.
still
They
going
see
to have this aggressive
4-2-3.
timing.
Yowei's going to pounce at the base of the high ground. The chain control has to be perfect, and that's where Febby comes into play. Beautiful use of the vision. It'll probably cost it to be dewarded afterwards, but that is a high-value target.
Even just using the Wall of Replica illusion to farm up a few of these Warpine Raiders. Get some passive gold over there for Bok.
55, thank you very much. Give me an extra creep. Come on! Plus 22, let's go. For Radiant, their hitting timing's very surely. Blink now on 11. Diffusal Blade soon to be completed and almost BKB if TA wants to disassemble the Dragonland. So, Lilgun, they are about to be in fighting shape. And that fight, I need to see it by Roshan. You want to take an engagement, win the team fight, then lead it in and get that objective.
Smoked a couple of seconds too early there, so the TA is actually not going to be under the cover of it.
They're going to look to jump the Sand King before the rest of Lilgun show up. Sand King just melts onto the damage. Just now Yowie, though. Well, he's left in an island fed to the wolves. It is Exo committed, but I feel like Lilgun, with this pick-off, they'll just instantly swing to Roche.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, you're going to have the Sand King up a little bit earlier. Carlo in decent position. They're looking to play around their wards, and they want to fight. They don't want to give up this area of the map.
They don't have Bok, though. I don't know.
There's no way to really TP him in there. I mean, it's going to need the perfect Rolling Thunder coming through from Carlo. They might be satisfied enough just to get that tier 1 tower top.
Okay. When Radiant, they can still...
Understanding their limitations. A more undisciplined team might have said, yeah, let's go. Protect the vision heavily. But they're just like, look, if we can get something out of it in that tier 1 tower, we're pretty satisfied. We know that they're not going to come for some sort of backstab, and Bok wasn't there.
And this is really important, though, for Lilgun. They just dewarded 2 wards around the Roche pit. There is still 1 for Die, but that's going to expire in the next 40 seconds. So, TNC, they're going to lose all their vision control around the area, which we're both expecting to be the next location of the fight.
The important thing is, though, this is what I was talking about. Sanctity is taking away a lot more of the farm.
There we go. There's that ward. Carlo's going to look to utilize it. A little bit too far away from the team. Great read from Radiant. Should reveal the ward on the higher gun that Radiant have, however.
This damn Keeper of the Light, man, just pops the Spirit Form and is moving at 500 movement speed. What can you do as that against a Pangolier? He's not going to catch you. You're going to be able to get away.
Oh, maybe for the blink, that's the way to do it. Nice Force Staff now. Now Yowie once again committed into the fight. The toss from 423 further into the backlines of TNC, but that's just helping 423. It's like, thank you, brother. Exact location that I want to be in to take the skirmish is now 11. Jumping Tiny, Spirit Vessel out. Great way to be able to deal with the position too, but that's where Young God comes into play. Sunder defensively, they're all out of there. Well. TNC only losing Grimstroke, but Lilgun, they want more, they need more. They have a window here, but how deep do you want to dive?
They found Yowie.
Yowie. Hiding. Got blink up surely. Oh. 7. Just too shy.
They were able to get that, but it does mean that they're able to establish a little bit of ward control around their area. Just placing this one down on the low ground outside of the Dire base. Not a common spot to be able to deward, and during all of that commotion, it's understandable if TNC didn't quite catch that. So they might even look to commit into the Roche. 2 seconds left on the Exorcism. You've got a TA who has...
DD. Let's go.
Coming up now.
It doesn't matter. She got a DD, man. Oh. Yep. Oh no. You can triple meld as well with the Coddle Chakra. So I'm quite surprised that they're not attempting. I guess Dai's fight in the pit is super scary. Rolling Thunder, Vacuum. They have meta. This is scary, Lilgun. You don't have Bok here. TB needs a TP in as well. Nice scan.
There's good scan. 11's in good
There's
position as well.
Sanctity playing around with the BKB. Carlo's going to try and disrupt the backline, but now with the epicenter drop solely on your way, they'll cut away the life for the Tiny. What more can they get out of this? 4-2-3. Aiming the Grimstroke, so we're 2 for nothing. 4-2-3 just looking to make some space, pushing back TNC, but the rest of Lilgun inside the pit. And that will be the first Roche claim, and this is exactly what Lilgun need. Their lineup completely revolves around early Roshans.
Absolutely, and who better to give it over to than the TA? It's already very hard to kill him the one time, only having died the once so far in Sanctity. He's just looking to continue that. So he's very survivable. Had the DA, of course, the DD, plus the BKB to enable that team fight, but He's going to go into the Desolator, and I think that's what they're really waiting for coming through from Lilgun. Might be around a similar sort of time as that Exorcism becoming available again on Ace 12, so it's really keep these lanes pushed out as much as possible. If you lose a support for it, it's generally okay, but don't lose your map while taking away the enemies and getting the key farm that you need to progress into starting to take other tier 2s and potentially even the high grounds.
Do you feel like TNC are in a position where they can contest this Aegis, or are they going to look to dodge it as best as possible?
Radiant's middle tower is
I almost
under
feel like you have to, right? Like, the Terrorblade, for as well as he's doing right now on Young God, he's still falling a little bit behind the TA, right? 2 levels, about 1,000 or so net worth. They are going to get a tier 1 tower, at least in response to this, and I don't know, maybe they feel like they can just because the Epicenter isn't available for the next 20 seconds. They'll at least get a tier 1 tower out of it, but for mine, this is a farming Aegis for mine, for Lilgun, and if they're able to get that Desolator, it's exactly what they want, to be able to use the latter minute or so of the Aegis to actually get an objective that's the true goal.
We are going to see them look to smoke, though, sweeping across the map,
Radiant's bottom tower
top to
Making
bottom.
sure to play around their vision as well, wait for that Epicenter cooldown. They realize how important that is to be able to get the better end of a lot of these engagements. And Yoae, like, even as this mid-tiny, he hasn't gone the BKB, he hasn't gone this, like, Shadowblade kind of is a playmaking item, but it doesn't provide you that frontline presence.
11. Just going to just run into the Grimstroke. Feel like now with this information, TNC is going to look to evacuate away from the area. They're happy with the Terrorblade shoving out bottom. In fact, Yoae and Carlo, maybe Carlo setting up. Think he's going to show, I don't know, yeah, as they see the tier, they're like, all right, let's ditch the air. It's not really here we can bring down with just these 2.
Oh, the recall happening now as well from the Keeper of the Light, so bringing Sanctity right to that mid lane. This is it, just stepping up the tempo more and more from Lilgun. They don't quite have the Desolator, but you still have this ability to continue pushing in onto this mid tower. And they would have seen Young God TP top previously, so they know his general location on the top side of the map because of this TA trap right outside the tier 3 tower on top side.
I'm so surprised at Tiny's net worth. At the moment, we're 8-3 and 5, but only 90 last hits on a core. In fact, the Coddle has more last hits than the Tiny, and this just seems to be the issue when you aren't the position 1. Honestly, you can really fall super far behind.
Yeah, I liked a lot of stuff about TNC's draft, but this mid-tiny just makes me feel a bit, I'm not sure about that, so...
And it's rough, because he's playing a good game too, but it's just the question of, like, the hero feels like it's super suited right now for the 1. With the plays he's making, we'll see if that can continue, because Shadowblade now, so... Who's the target for Tiny? Who does he look to blow up to start?
I think you got to get rid of Kishka. He's providing so much in terms of just constant re-engage coming through, a lot of extra damage from Sanctity, and you're squishy, right? Like, you might have a drums and a 4-staff, but if you're able to get on top of him with that Avalanche Toss combination, you could completely take him out of the fight super quickly. But with that tier 2 tower going down, they've already got outpost control, and it looks like they've got a Desolator coming through to them now. So with a minute left on this, wouldn't be surprised at all to see them look to move forward. Maybe just might want to wait for the Spirit Form 20 seconds away.
Lilgun done an exceptional job to be able to accumulate this net worth lead. Up to 7,000. Kills super even as well, however. But TNC, we've seen how potent their team fighting can be. But it's a big issue right now on how they can start the fights. Is the traps, the wards littering the map and making it really difficult for them to get that prime position to jump. And they're going to see Kishka. Oh, 11. What a Boris strike. Clipping Carlo before he's able to charge up with the Rolling Thunder. So makes it over to the high ground. They're grouped up at the moment with the BKB committed. Bok waiting the wings patiently. Now drops the combo with Young God in the middle. The damage is plentiful. They get rid of the first side of the Templar Assassin, but TNC actually looking to retreat away from the area. They're cautious. They feel like they've expended too much until Young God sets up the double inks while he can continue to beat onto the Lilgun numbers. But Sanctity, he wants to turn this fight back around as Young God still, he's going to end up dropping a 2 for 4. But it does look like TNC, a decent fight for them. It was a buyback for the Grimstroke, but we see how potent of a concoction they can have with these ultimates.
It certainly was a decent fight for them. The important thing, though, is you're still able to take out the Terrorblade. Sanctity alive for all of that. So he gets all of those levels. He's increased his level lead from 2 to 4. So he's already hitting up onto a lot of these bigger timings. The Meld Dispel, going to be very nice. My main concern with that, yes, you want to make use of the Aegis. Yes, you picked up the Yule Scepter that enabled 11 to survive a little bit longer, but you didn't quite have the BKB on the Anti-Mage. I feel like if they have that, then they win that fight hands down, right? Because you're not just getting chain lockdown over and over and over again. You're able to get onto the squishier supports and look to take out a lot of their involvement. Bok still playing a very, very good game.
Oh, your way. I'm not going to find an angle in to jump. I mean, so we were speaking a little bit before about the Tiny and who the ideal target is for him to bring down. I guess, what is it for now for Lilgun? Like, what is the ideal team fight for them?
Honestly, like, these cores are really damn tanky, right? So, of course, it's great if you're able to get that initial stun in onto them, but I feel like it's just trying to get some kind of backstab happening where they take out one of these squishier people, whether it be the Darkseer, the Pango, or the Grimstroke, before they're able to get off their full complement of spells. And you can just see how important Bok is prioritizing his life. Of course, the Vanguard was kind of necessary against the Anti-Mage, but going into the BKB after that, even against all this physical damage.
Yeah, stalking Bok. You'd hate to stick around for a little bit too long, especially with the traps laid down. Sanctity.
Got Blink. Is he quick on the
trailing
fingers?
him. Let's see how quick he is.
Not
He's
quick
not.
enough.
Bok. Uh-oh. Trap slow. Sanctity pounces over the tree line. And Bok's gonna drop.
Bottom tower
Now what can they get across the map? Instantly TPing bottom is 11 to try and shove out the one lane they don't have in their favor.
Have a dust on your way, but not wanting to go for it just yet.
Still.
For me, they're just being so much more efficient right now on Lilgun, right? Like, look at Kishka. He's basically got as much farm as the enemy mid laner and off lane. They're just splitting up the map,
Aegon.
using that recall to full effectiveness. And yeah, they're just like, all right, well, we have a pretty damn good Roche lineup, so we can just wait for that.
Away. They've got a sentry placed already, so it looks like it should be a pretty free kill onto the Sand King. Beautiful setup from TNC. And they might force some extra heroes back. See if Lilgun feel like this T2 tower is something that they want to defend.
Wonder if they might even try and force on the top side. Got Exorcism, you've got the TA there, but right now, just sitting inside the meld. So it looks like they will end up giving up that tier 2 for nothing. Kishka, importantly, I believe, has a Dagon 1 coming out to him now, so it's a little bit of that extra damage from when you use the Soulbind, but of course, also instantly clears any of those illusions, so going to be very effective against both the Darkseer and the Terrorblade.
Radiant's bottom tower has fallen.
Just got a mention of, because we see TNC how their AoE control can be a factor through the fight, and I was going to bring up the potential of, Kishka working on the Aghanims for the Will-O-Wisp. I know you mentioned how strong the Dagon can be this game, but do you think the Ags is something he'll consider for the later stages?
Potentially, but I mean, you've got BKBs now, so and you can see that they're looking to build into them on both the Tiny and the Darkseer, so it's going to have a much lower level of effectiveness as what you might like at this stage. It's all about just the instant catch, the instant burst coming out through from Lilgun right now.
See,
Claim that Arcane Rune on the top side from Yoe. Can they catch? I mean, Kishka's the one. They want Kishka if they can get him.
they're going to get the Ink Spell, not the perfect timing. In fact, they're going to try and aim the Templar Assassin. Beautiful 4-star from Kishka. Means that Sanctity can BKB and TPR, and that is a lot expended. Metamorphosis, Rolling Thunder, just for the life of the Keeper.
Roche not up for 30 seconds as well. If it was maybe up at that time, and you can see Yoe just looking to check it with the tree, not available just yet. So could have been a big win for TNC if they were able to take that away from Lilgun, but not going to be the case.
I feel like, can TNC contest Roche now without meta? I'm very worried for them for this next fight, because with Roche up in 10, this should be, at least how I'm looking at, pretty free for Lilgun.
It'd need a godly play to come through from Bok, right? Like, it is an area that you do like to fight on both the Pango and the Darkseer, just due to the amount of chaos that you're able to create.
Still gotta look
But
to
we saw
jump
how the last
Sanctity.
one happened.
Okay. All eyes on Bok then. The Darkseer still yet to complete the BKB. Definitely an item that he needs to make sure the Anti-Mage doesn't jump, because I feel like that's the name of the game for the Anti-Mage. Find Bok first, disrupt the blink, just mainly force him to not have a free fight where he can survey and get that window that slight window to get multiple heroes caught out in the wall. There we go. They caught out Bok, and he's going to pop just like that. Templar Assassin early use to the BKB, but TNC, they're in shambles as Yolway clipped. Oh, my lord. Sanctity TA. I tell you what, something you got to respect is Lilgun. Find 3, and that is a easy Roshan. In fact, maybe even high ground.
Yeah, why not? Use the remainder of the Exorcism as much as possible. Look at that from Ace 12 as well. He went into the Ghost Scepter, so, you know, you're able to sustain a little bit of the early burst coming through from the Avalanche Toss combo with the Cloak, and then you've got a Terror Blade and a Tiny hitting it onto you. Ghost Scepter, and you're totally fine. They do immediately just look to rotate into the Roshan. It's still about 30 seconds away from the Metamorphosis. They had to use the Rolling Thunder. They had to use the Wall of Replica. You've got a TA that's level 24 now. You take this in no time.
Are you seeing... Who do you feel like is the best shard carrier with this second Rosh?
I mean, TA, for sure, right? Like, everyone else has it, with the exception of the Sand King. So I feel like just give it over to the TA, right? Extra Silence going to be very effective if they're able to catch out the Darkseer. You might not even need to commit with a stun onto it as long as you've got some good Psionic Trap coverage.
Oh, all right, nice. No fight. Let me ask you a question, dude. AM has Aghanim shard. Is this value? Is this shard good? I'm so intrigued.
Sure. I mean,
sure.
when you think about it, right, like all of the magic damage that's coming in onto you, he is being burst down a good amount, right, with the Iron Shell, the Pangolier. Like, it's a lot of damage being focused onto the AM as long as he can't pop that BKB. So I think he just wants to be able to survive that initial burst, be able to pop it, and then he's got a Vanguard. He's going to be able to survive.
I'll take your tribute.
Reducing 20% spell damage as well.
Additional.
What's that? Is it just within 300 range?
Yeah,
okay.
20%. The additional 20% is within 300 range, but like, you've got a Pango who's rolling on top of you with Shield Crash and Inkswell and Iron Shell, right? That's all you care about. Like, you are the one that you care about from that.
Really split from the team. Tosses back to TNC. They don't get a clean combo though, so a BKB expended. We might not make it on the high ground. Yongo can just mantle off.
I feel like you could just play this a little bit slower on in Lilgun. You don't need to go for those sorts of dives. Sanctity is so close to his level 25. Just push out bot lane. Yeah, you can see 11's looking to make that rotation through, but without the BKB, TNC looking for the instant response. They know they're in a losing position right now, but if they're able to catch out that TA without the BKB, it just enables their team fight so heavily.
2-3. The first hero they run
going
into.
to just stand maybe towards the top of these stairs to force out any kind of smokes coming through to pop them. Sanctity's just hit level 25 though, so he's got the extra refraction instances. Might be enough to enable him to survive just that little bit longer, so that you have the BKB for the second life of the Aegis.
Already have no vision. They're not going to see. Okay, all right. Well, they'll see Fevy.
How they know?
Radiant might just play through the tree line. They've already got a ward set up by the T2 tower. Maybe die, don't even think about it.
You're kind of stuck on that side of the map as well, right? Like, you need to TP back to go anywhere. And so Lilgun are just like, all right, well, we're just going to split up the map. You've revealed the fact that you're inside our own jungle. You have nothing to TP to on the top side. So not only are we going to be able to get a tier 2, we're also just going to keep this lane pushed out. So you're going to need to worry about 2 lanes looking to push into you very shortly. This is the double catapult wave as well. So if they just take attention away from top lane, they could end up losing a lot.
Yowei just lost his BKB on the courier as well.
That's a real big deal.
Yeah, devastating. Once again, toss furthest back inside the base, underneath the tier 4 towers, but Sanctity says, thank you, sir. The position I want to be in, just to assassinate down the supports. With the BKBs expiring, Bok is going to land the combination, Soulbind leashing them together as well, so they've killed off the first life. TNC, how do you get set up for the second, though? Kale, the long wrap around, finds a chain control, now with a roll-up bounce back, Younggood provides the damage, and TA goes down just like that. They're going to lose 11 as well, and ultra kill for Younggood as TNC. A really crafty way, but they hold the high ground.
Tower has fallen.
Yeah, not sure diving the fountain is the way to go at this stage when you haven't taken a single lane of racks. I know it was a really good tossback coming through from Yoei, especially considering that he didn't have that BKB, right? So it was a really ballsy play to try and go for that. but I mean,
Radiant's courier.
Lilgun, you could have just stood there and looked to try and take the tower. You didn't need to continue diving in that deep.
A 35, make it a 4,500 gold swing. Oof. Oh, that's quite a way to bring yourself back into this game.
Mm-hmm. Was sitting at 83% win probability. It's all the way down to 65 now, and get some Carle perhaps coming through in here with the C coming through from Carlo. Still holding on to that Philosopher's Stone. The chain lockdown's been pretty good from TNC, right? Like punishing the fact that there's no BKBs available. The first life, he ended up using the BKB on that one, feeling like he could take out multiple. Carlo got a blink off, being able to avoid that meld strike hit as well. Otherwise, he would have been taken out of the game too. So really well done by TNC all throughout. But it was a little bit of an unforced error. I still don't feel like you needed to play that aggressively. Maybe just overestimating and overplaying their hand a little bit.
You sweating there, buddy? You're a little bit worried? I don't know. I potentially would be. The team you predicted just loses 4,500 swing. How you feeling?
Cool, calm, and collected. I've got my mate here. That's all I need.
That's all you need. I don't know. Well, if I win the season, I'm going to be getting some easy mate from you, and it's looking good. I believe in TNC. I believe in the lads, especially now with the buyback being expended, and that is all right. Now it's down to 6,000 gold. That ages advantage gives him nothing really from Lilgun.
Yeah. At the end of the day, like, you can hypothesize all you want about, the draft and all that sort of stuff.
Oh, Jesus, that Meta Boy does so much damage. Box in the neighborhood. Blink up shortly. It's going to get recalled. BKB. Ooh, just out of range of the vacuum.
Nice. I believe that's his Manta style as well, right? So now it's just even easier for you to get that initial burst onto the key heroes. You just saw Bebby. That, I believe, is his dieback timer as well. So at least next time he dies, he's not going to be in the grave for quite as long. But even just Ace going on a little bit of a dewarding mission, they understood that previously TNC had gone, roamed through their own jungle. Makes sense that they would have tried to place down Subvision as well at the same time. Just trying to get some tier 4 items for this next defense. What's up?
I'm worried, man. Young God, he's got Satanic already. Top of the net worth. MKB to deal with the Butterfly on Templar Assassin. Young God's an absolute beast this game, and I'm a bit concerned. I don't know if they can deal with him if he gets this Satanic.
I think you can, but you can't, like, just run on into them, right? Because you've got a Pangolier, you've got a Darkseer. We've seen through Enigma Galaxy C with Mizu time and time again, late game Darkseer is a force to be reckoned with, and Bok's been playing it pretty damn well so far. So the thing for mine is, yes, you can't just run into the Terrorblade anymore. He's way too tanky. The end goal for mine is still, you got to take out these backlines. Darkseer has to die, Pango has to die, Grimstroke has to die. The easiest one, of course, is the Grimstroke to be able to take down, but Darkseer has to be priority number 2 after that.
It is very difficult for them to do that, though, when you're sieging high ground. TNC just have so much of their base to position behind. So that's where Lilgun now are looking to take a fight where you're out on the map, you got room to jump the supports behind, maybe even some traps already laid down on the ground. Is this now, because you're putting a lot of emphasis on the supports on TNCs to be the one that gets targeted, do we feel like a gem is a must for Dive just so they can kind of keep their backline healthy?
Suppose, right? Like, you just want to make sure you know where those psionic traps are, but also they would have in mind that Lilgun are probably a little bit spooked about going for any of these, like, deep base dives considering how the last one went. So in Dota, as much as it's about the mechanical, there's also the mental aspect too.
Oh, good old Coddle things just sitting in 5th place in the net worth, higher than the Darkseer, higher than your position 2 Tiny. So we were speaking a lot earlier about Lilgun and how they really rely on Kishka and Sanctity to have a good game, and definitely feels like those two have been staples for them in this game 1.
I do want to see Kishka change things up. I don't think he needs to be holding that Keen Optic anymore. I feel like holding something like the Quickening Charm would just be so much more effective for himself. You get lower cooldowns on everything, right? Even the Chakra Magic just to regenerate your team. Lowering the Dagon's cooldown. It's level 3 now, so it's already down to 25 seconds. But I mean, why not just reduce it by another 10%?
What's a go here, do you think, for Lilgun? They have a double damager and just waiting in the river. Do you think this is something that they can utilize?
Looks like they're trying to build into the hexes here, so punishing perhaps some of the heroes that don't have the BKB available, or being able to pick them off before they're able to pop it, right? Because you can have a Satanic, you can have all that stuff, but if you're just being perma-hexed by both this TA and the Keeper of the Light, who are both looking to build into it, it becomes much more of a concern.
We'll see how these
They're
hexes are
right
able to
underneath
provide.
a couple of TA traps. Like, they know exact movements coming through from the TB.
Sanctity, he bottled that double damage rune as well, so he has it for the fight. I'm good.
Back line. Look at
Start. There we go. Straight onto Kylo. That's a high valuable target, but Bok tries to drop the combination. Instant use of the BKB. So Radiant trying to reset the fight as Sanctity picks up a double. Triple now for the Templar Assassin. They just have no answer to Sanctity's TA. Ace 12 solo charging down the tiny young god caught outside the base as well. What a burrow onto 2. No potential for Sunder. Sanctity, a man on a mission to take this game 1. The 5-man wipe, and Lilgun lose absolutely no one.
I gotta say, you were on point with your call for the gem, right? That would have completely changed things for TNC. They were walking under vision for the longest time, and it just gave you that setup that I've been talking about, right? Instantly able to pop the 3 squishy playmaking heroes onto the back lines. Oh, why not? Just go for the throne. Test out some of these buybacks. I mean, you don't have meta on the TB.
I don't know if they need this rapier. It's flying out of the corner. This game's probably going to be over before he gets it. TV got a buyback. Yoe got a buyback as well. They do have Glyph. Ooh, throwing full spot to the rapier. No way. Oh, he's silenced. He jumped in and he was still silenced. And our young god as well. No meta, no damage, no life soon to be as well as Lilgun. It might be time just to celebrate. You want the killers, you want the fountain, you want the throne, whatever you get. What a game performance from Lilgun. Able to take this 42 minutes in. Sanctity Templar Assassin, my lord.
Never in doubt. That's why I don't feel nervous about Lilgun and anyone I predict. And the lead grows to 4 for our little prediction contest there. That's why maybe it was the power of the shades. You know, John X Fire provided me the Talon branded shades, and it was what needed to propel me into another prediction victory. So Lilgun, they're on the board. They finally get their first game win throughout this entire DPC, although they've been having a pretty good time in third-party tournaments as well. And honestly, 42 minutes... it was really just the tiniest impact, right? We saw that Yoe, he had a pretty decent laning stage. He made some good early rotations, but the net worth just didn't really scale to the same level of impact than you would want for a playmaking mid-hero. And at the end of the game, had Kishka overtaken him in net worth? I wouldn't be surprised if he had.
Honestly, I can't take it too seriously with the sunglasses, so I might have to pull it back out, see if that can help me with my predictions in the next game. But Lilgun, what a performance. They're able to take this 42 minutes in. We're going to send it to a break, and when we come back, the panel will come to break this one down.